All right, here we are for week 7 of the Android GDAX project live coding sessions. So just for a quick recap to show what we've been doing this whole time is we are making this as an app. And what this is where people can go and buy different cryptocurrencies with dollars, euros, or British pounds. And so we have been doing Ethereum and the US dollar. And what this gives us is just a lot of information that we can try and jam pack into an app. So currently what the app does is it pulls in all of this trade history data over here, and really actually it's pulling in all of the data that you see on this page, and we're storing it into different databases. But we're only displaying the trade history. This is the only section we've sort of finished. And to show that, let me pull up the app and let's get it running. Which means we'll also need to kick off an emulator. And if you're curious how that shortcut popped up there at the bottom, that's a plugin called, I think, Presenter Helper or something. Let's see if I can't find that out. So here, if I hit Control-Shift-A or Command-Shift-A, it'll pull up that, tell you all that cool stuff. And then we can type in plugins, just to have something to do while the emulator's getting kicked off. And then we can look at our plugins. And I think it's Presentation Assistant now that I think of it. Yeah, Presentation Assistant. So this plugin's cool. It pops up all the different shortcuts that I hit so I don't have to be as vigilant about saying them out loud. So if you're presenting or anything like that, that's a good one to know about. Looks like we're still building, so let me pop over here, see if we've got any questions, anybody needs caught up. Cool, and if you can't hear me or it looks funky or there's anything else going on, just let me know and then we can fix that so it works better for you. All right, so while that's still building, which is taking a long time to build, where we left off last week was with a toolbar that wasn't being drawn. And the issue is that this toolbar here, if we Control-B into this, then it's going to show us that that's a toolbar from the support class. There we go. So that toolbar is giving us an android.support.v7.widget.toolbar, which is normally okay, except when we're using the new lifecycle activity and the new fragment or lifecycle fragment, these are extended from the activity class, not the app-compat activity class. So we actually can't use the support toolbar here. We need to use the real toolbar. And last week I spent a little bit of time floundering around trying to figure out why this toolbar wasn't working. And that turns out to be the reason, and the fix is easier than I thought it was. All we need to do is change this import to just be toolbar. Then we should be using the normal toolbar from Anko. And now, since we're importing something different, if we Control-B, or rather, okay, so that took a little bit to pull in. Let me spend a second here, see if we can't figure out who's killing it. Okay, so the emulator is taking an impossible 300 and some % of the CPU. So let's go ahead and kill this guy because that's not good. Although I think that's pretty standard for what it says, but it shouldn't take that long to start up. So we'll just quit the emulator and we're going to start it over again. Yep, go ahead and force quit the emulator. Which, if you didn't know, this is the emulator. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna wait for that to happen and then come back over here and see if we can't find the right toolbar import. Anko dot and we had it as appcompat v7-toolbar. We need to change it to, I was pretty sure it was anko.toolbar, but let's just take that out. Maybe I had to get rid of an import to get that to come back. So there, that's saying no good. And it gives us the appcompat v7 import, which apparently is the only option. Let's come into the build.gradle, and we can actually take out this import. Let's comment this guy out. So now that import is no longer valid. We're going to need to sync the project. How is this still building? Something's gone very wrong in building this project. Okay, it finished since I told it to quit in 5 minutes. That's an insanely long time. All right, and now we've got this building. We're going to come back, we're going to figure out what toolbar we need to use, then we're going to pop in the icon, and we're going to be able to drag out the toolbar, be able to see the drawer, and add in some navigation to get to probably this order book screen. So we'll probably make a screen that looks just like this section over here. Guess we can pop over here, see if we got any questions at the moment. Cool. And Android Studio is still losing its mind over Gradle. So we will wait for that still. And this project is still syncing. Just quit the emulator. Just stop. It's ruining everything. All right, bring back up the activity monitor, hopefully, which is right here. Somehow this is still running. So using an impossible amount of CPU time as well. It's only been up for 5 minutes, right? That's pretty wild. We've got lots of messages. Okay, let's... I guess we can close Android Studio maybe. I don't know how that would help. We really need to get this out of the way, whatever it's doing. Maybe we'll just try regular quit. Well, oh, that's a difficult button to click. Stop it. Yeah, stop the Gradle build. Okay, there we go. Are you done now? Okay, it's not trying to do anything with Gradle. Emulator's off the stack, and now we've just got OBS, Open Broadcast Software, using still more than 100%, so there's probably more than one core in there. That's totally normal. All right, so let's figure out what was going on with our toolbar import. So now, Gradle sync failed, so we're gonna have to hit that again. Except this time it should sync quickly without the emulator being broken or whatever was going on there. We'll have to run the emulator in a few minutes anyway. But I have had some issues with it on the first try, kind of failing out on me. So maybe that's what's going on. And I am on the Canary build, so although I haven't been able to update past Canary 4, I'm kind of waiting for the stable module at this point. And okay, so we're back to building the project. So we've pulled down all the new dependencies, we're adding them to the project, and they're being downloaded, and we're running it through. It's gonna make everything red while it's figuring out those dependencies. And then this line should stay red because that's the import we took away. So no appcompat v7 bindings. And yet It's, oh, there we go. Okay, so this should be red too, right? So if we set this equal to tool, okay, there we go. And so as we see, the drawer layout has not been able to exist. And the toolbar should be available as a different library. Had it working like that just a few minutes ago. What was that import? Maybe we'll try to search for it in the Anko library itself. So let's actually, so we do need this import for the drawer layout, but so sync that guy back in and let me pop over to the Anko library. Then let's go to, so Anko, and it's here, and let's just search in this library for toolbar. All right, so toolbar, that is v7. So we want this one, android.widget.toolbar, not the v7 stuff. So let's search for that. Let's search for android.widget.toolbar. All right, and that is from, there it is in SDK21. Oh, is that what I need to do? So over here, let's go to views. And since we have to use, so right here, we're using SDK 15. So let's bump that up to 21. Since we have to be using a high API anyway, we can even move this to min of 21. Just because this project has to use activities instead of app compat activities anyway. So I mean, the goal here is clearly not to be compatible. So let's not be that compatible. And I believe 21 is Lollipop. So we are supporting Lollipop and up for this app now. And adding that should, based on this, I think give us the toolbar extension function that I'm looking for. That will give us the android.widget.toolbar instead of the android.support.v7.widget.toolbar. All right, has that built yet? Working on it. Then we're gonna, whenever that finishes building, take out this import and we'll see if we can get a different toolbar or more than one option here. Tool bar, there is more than one option, which is the good one. I guess we will pick, does it say? So that returns underscore toolbar. Also, neither of those can tell me that it's the right one, so we will. Darn it, we got the wrong one. App-compat v7.toolbar, so let's try, maybe it was this guy. Same problem. Where is that toolbar? 1, 2, 3 extension functions. So there was more than 3 extension functions I had thought. Toolbar. And underscore toolbar. Is the right kind of toolbar. Okay, so where does underscore toolbar get used? ViewManager.toolbar, yep, that's exactly what we're using. So, and if we are inside of an activity, it's going to be, what import is this even? SDK21 views, yep. So we don't want that. I guess we just want Anko.toolbar now, and it exists because we're in SDK21. Is that how this works? TOO. Yep. Guess that's how this works. All right. So toolbar. Got it. And we want this to be a toolbar. And now that we have that as a toolbar, we're able to set it as the action bar. So remember, when you're using a toolbar, first of all, you're going to want to use it in an app bar layout. And you're going to put it as an action bar. But to set it as an action bar, before, this was the support toolbar, so we would need to use the set support action bar function, which we don't have on a lifecycle activity, which is where that problem came from. But now we can do this at main activity.set action bar, or whatever it's called. Yep, set action bar, and pass in our regular toolbar. And then we can access the action bar through this static action bar, which just actually calls get action bar, but in Kotlin we don't have to see the get part. And we call set display home as up enabled, which, let's see if they have a good description of that here. Nope. So, but that just shows the icon next to it. And now if we run the app, and I guess we first, pray that it works and that the emulator does what it's supposed to do without crashing and burning. Okay, so it has built, and we should be getting our toolbar. And I guess it had not finished building because we're still going. So we can close these two for now. And then the next thing we're going to need to do is it's going to show us that we've got the wrong, not really the wrong, but it's got an interesting choice of icon that it's going to show. I think typically you kind of want that hamburger icon. So let's pop over to here and look through some code that I've written for another project where we've got the icon and we can see how to set the color and just some more stuff that we're going to have to do. So we're going to need to create this IC menu black 24dp icon rather. And creating icons in Android is actually super easy these days. All you've got to do is come over to the res directory, then do we not have a drawable folder? Let's get a drawable folder. New Android resource file, maybe? Android resource directory, that's what we need. And let's pop that down to drawable and then hit OK. Now we've got a drawable directory, and inside our drawable directory, we are going to need a vector asset. And what we want to pick is we want to click on this icon button right here. And then in here, we'll be able to select the icon we want, which is IC menu black, so it'll probably be called menu. So there's menu, hit OK, and it'll give us that default name that we saw in the other app. You can hit next, finish, and yeah, we'll want to add that to get. Okay, once we've got that added, we'll want to set the navigation icon and set the color of it as well. So I'm just going to copy these two lines. Oh my goodness, that is the longest Gradle build I've seen in a long time, not counting the one that we quit last time. That one was longer, but it doesn't count because it didn't finish. Oh my goodness. That took 2 minutes. It's just an extraordinarily long time for a build. All right, now we're waiting on the emulator. All right, in the meantime, we have cut and copy some code that we need here. So here's where you set the icon of your toolbar. So that's going to be the kind of at the top of your action bar. You've got the 3 lines where you click to bring out the drawer. So that's right here. And then to set the color of that icon programmatically, and we don't have to do it that way, I guess. I like to do things programmatically typically. So this would be how you would do that using a filter that is source atop, and all that means is anywhere where there is color on the original picture, you would replace it with this color. So this works, but also we could just come in here and use the color that we would want it to be once we decide what that color is, which will be a lot easier once the emulator is running. So any day now. So I guess in the meantime, I'm not really sure how I can make the emulator run any better. I very much wish Android had a simulator instead of an emulator. And I guess we can kill a bunch of Chrome windows in the meantime. Let's see what else is. Yep, emulator, you're back at the top of the list. Congratulations. Is it, what? Is sound back now? I literally didn't change anything. I just clicked on properties. And now I guess sound is back. Though maybe somebody rewind that and see if I had accidentally clicked the mute button earlier. I'm not. That's very strange to me. So I'm on like a 30-second delay. So somebody chime into the chat here and let me know if the sound is back. It looks like it is. This bar is moving and it wasn't before. Though again, I'm no idea why that happened. I literally just clicked on settings, but we'll see. Cool, we're back. All right, so get that back out of the way. Yeah, I'm definitely one of the all in that regard. Yep. And I think part of the cool part about this stream is that you just get to see me fail over and over and see just how normal that is a part of development. All right, so we've got it up and we are not getting strange render thread errors, which again, were not our fault, at least in any way that I can discern. And we've got our white icon. And again, we could have set that in code, but we just set it in the drawable. And you really do want to use the vector drawables. It's super, super easy. And I mean, this is all the code and it scales to whatever size you want it to be. It's just really, really easy. I mean, they're defining graphics in vectors. It's just really cool too. And that's been a long time coming, but we finally got it. All right, so we called this clear database. Let's see if we cleared it. So if we scroll down here, so we've still got the 263 stuff. So maybe it didn't clear or it loaded it first, but either way, back up here at the top, we saw a bunch more data that's more recent. So this is from 136. We can see that it's kind of streaming in, hopefully. And all right, so let's take that back out. We don't really want to clear the database each time. And then let's make it so that when we click on the navigation icon, that it opens the drawer. So, and let me make sure there's no more questions over here. Cool. All right, so we've got everything set up and I gotta pop over to my other project to see how you set the button for the navigation. So it'll be, we want to call that open drawer function. And I don't recall if there's so drawer, let's see. Nope, just one there. Okay, so I don't think that's necessarily in this file, so it might be quicker for me to just Google that one. So let's come back over to this one and we'll Google on-click toolbar. Yep, look at that. There are several choices. So we're not looking for the, let's put in the word icon as well. I think that's going to be good. So toolbar icon on click. There we go. Oh, is there a navigation on click listener? That could be it. Actually, let's first look at the answer. Okay, that is the answer. Do we have that called in that code that we were just looking at though? Did I miss it? Oh, I think that would actually be back. So this app holds everything and different views that it switches out. So instead of using fragments, though I think going forward, I'll try to use fragments. Actually, that's gonna take me way back to the beginning of that project. And the activity here, I think, is where we set the toolbar stuff. So that's why that wasn't there. Anywho, back over here, after we've set it as the action bar, let's call toolbar dot on click. Is that set navigation? Let's type in the word navigation. Oh, and there's also a navigation icon. Is that what we set? Navigation on click listener, and we'll get it with a lambda because that makes it really easy. And then in here, we've got, I think it's just drawer dot open drawers maybe. Dot open drawer. And do we need to provide a gravity? I suppose. So that would be gravity dot left. which, did we call that somewhere else already? Open drawer, one match. Okay, so we did not. I guess adding it as a drawer means that sliding in from the left will open it regardless. So let's run this, and then I'm curious if we can actually define that inside the toolbar. I think we can, though that other person's comment in Stack Overflow said that we can't do it that way, or suggested we didn't, rather. And while that's building, let's check comments, see where we are. Nice, working out. Everybody can hear me, hopefully. Though now I trust that people will let me know that's good. I had one stream where we got to the end and that the whole thing was in 480p, and I just felt very silly for that. So I'm very happy that people are telling me when things are not working, because it just makes me feel like an idiot when I get to the end and it's just not a good stream. Also don't love having long Gradle build times, but some things I can fix, some things I can't. All right, so that's building up. And another bad thing about these long build times is that I'm a little bit dissuaded from popping this into the toolbar up here to see if I can do that, because I know it's going to take me 2 minutes to see if I can. But let's, because we should be able to do it like this. Set navigation. And when it's done building, maybe we'll get some autocomplete actions here. Activities launching. Set navigation. On click listener. So yeah, maybe we can do it in there. Woo! All right, so there's our drawer. And yeah, that works great. And if we click on these, they still do what we had them do last time. Just tell us what they say. So I'm just going to get rid of that. And we're, I guess I'll hit run, but we'll also start programming the next step, because we want to make good use of our build times now that we know they're long. And then we'll see if that still works. So run that again. And yep, got it clicked. So once we've got that, we want to be able to click on those buttons and have them bring us to the other screens. And just for a quick recap, let's look at how those buttons are done. So in our folder over here, we have a navdrawer class, which extends an underscore linear layout class. Now, underscore linear layout is a special linear layout from Anko. It's literally a linear layout with some extra stuff. So one of the biggest things is it has this .lparams function attached to it. So if you use an underscore linear layout, anything inside, if you want to attach layout parameters to it, you can use the .lparams extension function on the generic T, which is of type view. So don't worry if that doesn't make sense to you. Just know that if you extend underscore linear layout, then inside the init block, you can, like here, we've created a view that's green, and we can just do .lparams and add the layout parameters. So this is that top green section. Then we've got an array of items, trade history, order book, and charts. And for each item, we create a text view with white text, text size of 22, and padding of 16 all around. And then in the onClick listener, we toast the name, which is just the name of the variable in this for each loop, so it's going to be these. And we commit, or we take action. And action is a function that returns a unit that we pass into our nav drawer. So if we control B onto our nav drawer, we can see that we create it right here and pass in the drawer.closeDrawers action. So anytime we click on a drawer, this is going to happen, which is exactly what we want to happen, because you'll jump to a new drawer and you'll want it to close. All right, so let's see, does this still work? Look at that, it does not. It does not work. So we cannot do that. You cannot add the navigation on click listener before you have set it as the action bar. So can I just control Z that back? I can. So you don't want to call, while I think, you know, it's nicer to usually be able to set these inside. Not the case. You want to call set navigation on click listener on your toolbar after it has been set as your toolbar. Stack Overflow guy is correct. All right, so do that on one line, do it on more than one line. I'll leave it as one line. This isn't very complicated. I don't think it'll get any more complicated, and it really just says open the drawer when we click on the navigation listener. So we'll leave that like that. And all right, now we need a new screen, which I'm not entirely sure how I want to do it. I suppose we're going to try and use fragments, but that also means that I need to refactor first our trade history view to be a fragment. So I pulled up this. Did I pull up I thought I pulled up a fragment thing. Yeah, wanted to see how they used fragments here. So did they set it to the activity? That was really the code I wanted to see. Bummer. Let's just get up the regular fragments guide. I'm sure that'll be good enough. Fragments, Android. Don't give me the rest of that search. Darn it. So pull that away. All right, we've got the guide. And then, yep, I'm pretty familiar with fragments. So there we got the fragment. Nope, add it in text, please. All right, so we're going to need to return a view. All right, so let's just start doing this. So we're going to make a new fragment to hold our trade history view, which is all the app is right now. It's the trade history section and this drawer layout, which doesn't work at the moment because we haven't ran the app again. But we need to add in the orders table or screen or whatever we want to call it. So let's make a new Kotlin file or class called trade history fragment. And this is a class that we will add to Git. And then it's going to extend fragment. And let's wait a sec so that we can get our, wait, do we need lifecycle fragment? Let's go for lifecycle fragment, why not? We'll probably end up needing it, and this is the lifecycle, trying to use lifecycle here. Ooh, not gonna make it to that meeting. So lifecycle fragment, and then that, and then it's happy. So inside here, let's Control O to bring up the override dialog. And you're supposed to say Control O down here, presentation assistant. So we need on create view. Is it get view? It wasn't get view, was it? Yeah, on create view. Just like I said. So on create view. There we go. So which of those are not going to be null? This uses the inflator and the container and not the saved instance state. So this might be a little interesting to do in Anko and is not something I've tried. So, and the saved instance state can be null, so we'll leave that one as nullable. And it's definitely going to return a view. It's not going to return null. And what we want it to return is all of this, except for maybe the nav drawer. This is where it gets tricky, is how do we incorporate the nav drawer? Because that's sort of, I mean, the nav drawer is like bigger than the fragment. But okay, let's start with, I guess we'll pull everything into the fragment and go from there, I think. So we'll pull the drawer layout. Although, wait a minute, let's see. I bet most drawer layouts don't. Do we have the drawer layout? Yep, got those docs up. Can I get the drawer layout guide? Oh, that's not what we want. I guess we want this one. Creating a navigation drawer. Okay, so yeah, they've got, yeah, so we'll probably swap in the fragments in that section, I would think. So yeah, first step though, let's pull. So we don't want to pull the drawer layout out, or even the toolbar. I think we really just want the recycler view. So let's pull that part out. And actually, before we pull it out, let's replace it with a frame layout. That has width and height of match parent. Width, comma, match parent. And you don't have to specify the parameters like this. I just think it's helpful to see what's going on. So match parent. And then we're going to take our recycler view. And put it into our fragment. And we're going to take in the beautiful loading icon. All right, Android Studio is very upset about something. All right, let's tell the emulator to stop running our app. Maybe that'll save us something. Oh, Android Studio is just not responding, so that's not good. Oh yeah. All right, so, and it stopped responding on a cut and paste too. It's very unfortunate. Okay, how do we do in Android Studio? And I think I've actually got to launch it from right here. And it's coming on. And I guess since nothing's working out, let me just close a bunch of Chrome windows. Got that one closed. Get you closed. Even close this one. And that one we're using. Is this the other one we're not using? Yeah. Okay, so hopefully I can bring all those back without too much difficulty. But in the meantime, let's get Android Studio to work. Figured that out. We can close this one too. I guess I'll spend some time looking at fragments. So we're going to be adding our fragment to a view group programmatically, specifically the frame layout that we added just at the end there before Android Studio died. All right, let's get our project back here. Yeah, we're not going to be doing any updates right now, Android Studio, but thank you for keeping me updated. Okay, so we have lost our frame layout. It is not here. And let's see if we have our fragment class. And it's going to take just a second to build, or whatever it does that ends up getting rid of all those usually com.team treehouse. I guess I picked com.treehouse this time. And then once that's done, we'll come in here and there will be just the 3 that we're used to. And we do have our fragment. Okay, so there's our fragment. Back in main activity. And I clicked your X already, Mr. Guy. Okay, and then we're gonna put in our frame layout, which we can call val frame or placeholder. Placeholder is a good name. Placeholder equals frame layout, and we can give it some brackets. Actually, we don't need brackets. We're not putting anything in it right now. We're just attaching things later, so then we can just finish it out and then type .lparams and width equals match parent and height equals match parent, which is going to need to be a capital P. So I can fix that one before they find it. All right, then we need to cut out our recycler view, which goes to there. And over in trade history fragment, let me check chat real quick, make sure everything's still working, because that was a lot of nonsense that Android Studio is trying to put me through. Okay, so what do you want? It overrides nothing, so apparently it needs to return null. Is that why you override nothing? Why do you override nothing? So container can be null? I don't like that. I don't think it can. You have to use the container. Container cannot be null. That's frustrating. Okay, container can be null. Can I return view? Okay, good, because I'm pretty sure I'm not going to return a null view here. All right, so we need to return a view, and let's get rid of the return, paste in our recycler view, which may work. Yeah? All right. Nope. Okay, so we need a context in these guys, which is just going to be context. So we got context and context. And to get our recycler view, this is, I guess it's not an extension on layout fragment or something, but we can do context dot recycler view. I think, yep. And then lparams we're not going to be able to do either because this is not an underscore thing. And then we can just return this. And we need to get our view model. Okay, so let's get our view model, which, are you being used now, view model? Nope. So this is good to cut out, and this is also going to move into our fragment. So kind of nice to see this stuff moving into a different class. Makes our activity just a little smaller. So I guess we can put this in on create. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's not going to work. We need to use a context again, which is just context. And actually this should, right, yeah, we actually don't need a container. Start of, oh, okay, so this, maybe? Cool. And do you also want this, but perhaps this at fragment, because otherwise this will be an underscore recycler view. Okay, so we've got that fragment. Fragment acquired. All right, back in here, we've got our app bar layout, which let's plunk that down to be just a little smaller. And then we've got our frame layout, which is definitely okay. Import frame layout, you're okay. And then, where did my code go? It was right here. Okay, so we need to do this. To make fragment transactions in your activity, you must use the fragment transaction API. Fantastic. Okay, so we need to do that. Wait a minute. Why do I need an ID there? I don't want to have to use an ID. Actually, let me see if Anko has any fragment shortcuts. So I've never used Anko with fragments because I have been guilty of avoiding fragments outside of the course I wrote about fragments, which was, I think, over a year ago. So I haven't used fragments in a while. Because I opted to use views instead. So they've promised at Google I/O that fragments were better and that they're going to keep making them better. So I think we need to make the switch at some point. Oh yeah, you can use this UI stuff too, which is kind of cool. UI and then .view, and inside you can use Anko stuff. Kind of like how I used context. So, hold your dinosaur class, that's all very cool. Yeah, okay, that's not the question I was really looking for. I was looking if there was an easy fragment add method in Anko. Though we have the docs for Anko, we can do a quick search in those. For fragment, they do a pretty good job of documenting things, although I feel like they split the documentation over a few different pages, so the search might not get it. Okay, it doesn't say anything about fragments, we'll just do it the regular way. So step 1, get a fragment manager and get a fragment transaction, which it looks like we just need the transaction, so let's do that all on one line. So and let's do it after the layout, which I guess we can leave expanded. So then we need val fragment transaction equals fragment manager dot begin transaction. And now we've got a transaction, and we need to get our fragment, add it, and then commit it. So let's get our fragment. So val, why do we need to get our fragment? So then add it, fragment transaction, which was fragment transaction, right? Yeah. We don't need to switch for that. Fragment transaction dot add. And let's see what our options are for this. We have int and fragment. Let me go to the fragment docs. So the actual, so Android fragment, and I want to look at the add functions that are available to me. So we don't want the guide for that, we want the actual reference. I'm going to click on this one. And then with the fragment, once this loads, all right, there we go. So in here, I'm looking for the add method that I can use to add that doesn't require an ID. So fragment, wait a minute, it was fragment transaction. So Control F fragment transaction to get a link to that class. And it was actually fragment transaction.add. Here we go. So add container view ID fragment. Nope, not what I want. Container view ID fragment. Again, not what I want. Can I just pass in the container view? No, I don't think so. Okay. Well, that's fine. We can add an ID. That's not a big deal. I just wish we didn't have to. So N here inside our fragment layout. Now we need to have some code. And the lparams block needs to be after the braces. So inside fragment, or this frame layout that we're calling placeholder, which I guess now we don't need to save it into a variable anymore. We'll use the ID. We can call this ID equals 123, which is fine. You can source of type ID. What are you talking about? I can totally do that. I have been doing that forever. Set ID, int, yep. It wants an int. I don't see this as being a problem. ID equals 2. Don't you complain about that. That's not an error. Shows that resource IDs, for example. Yeah. Wow. If you really make me make an ID for this, that's very annoying because I have not been doing that. So anyway, normally you can, and we'll see if this works in a second, you can just set the IDs because IDs, after all, are just numbers. So whenever you write r.id. whatever, it gets turned into a number behind the scenes. And of course, best practices would be to set your IDs, but I'm just trying to get this running right now. So I should be able to just use a number. Anywho, fragment transaction.add. Then we want the ID, 123, and the fragment, which is going to be a new fragment. So trade history fragment. And then a new one, so like that. And then I think it's just commit, right? Yep, commit. So fragment transaction dot commit. Okay, and what do you want? None of the following functions can be applied. What? Trade history fragment is a fragment. Unless it's not. It's a lifecycle fragment, which extends fragment. It is a fragment. It's absolutely a fragment. Let's check out that one. Do we want perhaps the support fragment manager? Right, nope, still an error. Okay, well now we're back to that expected resource nonsense, which I would be frustrated if they made that an error. It should really just be a warning. Right, you can't have something take an int and then not accept integers. All right, while that's building, check and see if we've got any questions, comments, concerns. All right, looking good. So Back to the app, it's running, and let's see, so this has been updating. What's been going on? Got some big buys here. And if anybody's been paying attention, I think this is the lowest price we've seen while we've been working on this project. So, fun fact. And Gradle is still building. So I suppose what we're looking for here is that we've successfully pulled the trade history fragment into its own thing so that we can add trade history fragment to main activity, and then we can have another fragment that we can add to the activity that'll be something else. And that's how we can switch our views around when we click in the drawer. And that's installing. So, all right. Installing APKs, we're getting there. Okay. We're back. And here's all the stuff. And if we open that, it works. Wait, so this just worked, right? We're using a fragment now? I didn't expect it to just work. Alright, sure. We did it. I guess let's move on. So to make sure that we did it, let's just make another new fragment, which we will call orders fragment, because it'll show the active orders. Active orders fragment. Yeah, though I guess if you're looking at it at all, if you're looking at an order, it's an active order. Otherwise, it was canceled or has been completed or it's something else. So orders fragment, and this extends fragment, lifecycle fragment rather, which the lifecycle fragment and activity fragment, or lifecycle activity classes rather, are both sort of temporary until the lifecycle stuff is out of beta or alpha or whatever they're calling it these days. And all right, and here, Control O on create view. Perfect. Looks great. And we can make this guy not null. We can make this last guy not null. Saved instance state can definitely be null, and it throws an error if we set the view group to null. And let's just return view, rather context.view. What are you complaining about? That's correct. Custom view. Why would I do custom view? I don't need to do custom view. What did I do? Just view. That's all it is. So maybe we need actually to start with a view group. It may want us to start with a view group. So context.frame layout. Okay, there we go. We got a frame layout. Then inside the frame layout, we'll add a view, which will have a background, color of color dot. Oh, no, I know I need to import the color class. Color dot. Let's go green. That'll be easy to see. What are you complaining about? Fine, we'll just do a text view. Text view. Hello, fragments. Okay, so now we've got an orders fragment, and let's make it so that we can sort of shoehorn that in here, I suppose. We'll make it that when we click on any of these, they load our fragment, this being any of the drawers. So let's get a switch fragment function. Fun switch fragments. And it would be, I guess, I'm thinking it would be the same code, though I will check. Fragments, adding a fragment, managing fragments. Okay, so that will work. Let's do that. So over here, and we're just going to do that. Code is called switch fragment, and we're going to pass in the fragment. Fragment of type fragment. Perfect. Rather, I believe that gives us the support thing. Not fragment container. I think we want that one because we're using support fragment manager for some reason. I haven't tried to figure out why that is yet, but okay. So then here we want to call switch fragment at the bottom of onCreate to set our default fragment to the trade history fragment. Switch fragment. So then we create a new trade history fragment. Yep. And then when we're just shoehorning this in there so we can see if it works before we start moving on. Switch fragment, and this is going to be the orders fragment, which just says hello fragment right now, or hello fragments, I think. Orders fragment, new, great, and let's add, we need to take this fragment and put it in here because we want to use, and actually we can see if this does produce an error without being the right fragment. Yep. So we're going to leave it like that. And I guess we can leave that bit there. It's good to know it's the right fragment. But does that mean we are importing the other one? Yes. So let's not do that. And what was it? Control-Alt-O to optimize imports. And then let's get rid of this, and we'll just remember that it's a support fragment. Makes our code a lot easier to see. So import the support one. Okay, we've got that, and let's add a log statement in here. So e switch fragment and $ fragment. So it'll print back what fragment it is. So that'll give us a little bit of insight into what's going on in the app. All right, so now if everything's worked correctly, we should start with the trade history fragment, which we'll see. And then when we click on any of the nav drawer like buttons, so either of the three choices, trade history, orders, or chart, I think this is the other one. Yeah, or charts, we should see this pop up, which is a frame layout that has a text view that says hello fragments. And it should be pretty small because we didn't set any text size or anything else. It should be like size 11 or 12 text. Won't be very visible. But it should be visible enough to verify that it's working, which is the important part. Okay, so here's the app. Got it all up and running, and we bring out. So again, it looks like it's working, right? And let's check the logcat here and put in this and see, that's nice. So again, let me show that off because I really love that. So that's an extension function on any, and it logs the class name plus these two easily searchable characters, and then whatever I pass in to string. So we have switch fragment, trade history fragment. So we know that got called for sure. So cool. And if we click in here and we click any of these, we should get another fragment. Okay, so it definitely called switch fragment with an orders fragment and created another orders fragment And create another order segment. Okay, so those are definitely working. We've got the log. Really glad we put the log statement in there. That is important stuff to know, but it didn't change the layout. So let's find out why that is. Back in here. Let's go to you know what, I bet we can find that on Stack pretty quickly. So Android show new fragment, still showing old fragment. That should be enough words that we get something. All right, let's get some code. Oh, replace. Wonder if we can just call replace. Let's see, so Android fragment replace versus add. That's exactly what I'm looking for. So I want to know if I can call replace from the beginning. If there's nothing to replace, can I still call replace? Now, wait a minute. Ha! Look at that. Okay, so it did work. It totally worked. So, and it's hiding under the toolbar, which is kind of funny. All right, so what just happened there is that we've got our toolbar is kind of at the top, and the things, you know, it's kind of covering up some stuff, which is another thing we'll have to look into. But so there it says hello fragments and black text, and it successfully put our fragment over the other fragment. But since our fragment that we added is literally just a text view, it's got no background, it's got nothing, it just kind of floats over the other fragment, and we can see both of them. So to fix this, we can come into, I think really we do want the replace method. So let me finish reading this and we'll see if that's the solution there. Okay, so let's just try it. So we've got replace instead of add. Gonna run that guy. And get back to the code here. So that's running. We're gonna see if replace works. All right, launching activity. And if it doesn't give us an error right off the bat, replace has worked. So replace has worked. Go replace. Good for you. And if we come in here, click that and go to trade history, bam. All right, so it replaced our thing and we can't see hello world because it's behind this app bar layout at the top here. So perhaps we should look into that. Let me come over here and switch to what I thought I had open. Looking at this code, and okay, so we are trying to figure out why the app bar is too tall. Not too tall, but not allowing things to go beneath it. And I think it has to do with our coordinator layout and some scroll flag stuff. So let's try looking at app bar layout scroll flags. I want to figure out more about what those do. So app bar layout scroll flags. And so in my code over here, I'm using scroll flag scroll and scroll flag enter always. So when entering the view, we'll scroll down on any downward scroll event, regardless of whether the scrolling view is also scrolling. So what scroll flag enter always should do is if we come over here to the app and oh man, let's fix that. That'll be nice. We can associate those with fragments. Wow, that's actually really cool. Let's pause for a sec and do that. So over in our code here, in our nav drawer, let's create a data class of, what do we want to call this? Fragments? Yeah, sure, fragments. A fragment nav drawer entry one. Yeah, that seems more honest. Nav drawer entry. And it's going to have a title, which is a string. And it's going to have a fragment, which is a fragment. And we may end up changing this later if this doesn't end up being a good definition for nav drawer entry. Oh, right. So we'll need to put val, because neither of these can change, and val. And we're happy. Okay, so now we've got nav drawer entry, which is actually kind of a long name, but that's fine. So now in this items, we have an array of, let's enter nav drawer entry, and this is going to be trade history. And for its second parameter, we want trade history. And I don't know how I feel about having this fragment be created here, but we're going to go with it for the time being. Then we're going to Control D, duplicate that line twice, copy order book for trade history, as well as charts for trade history. And we can do this. And do we need one more? Yep. Okay. Enter there. And this can be orders fragment. And this isn't super clean because we'll be creating, another new orders fragment, but that's fine. We don't have a charts fragment right now. And you should not be complaining about anything. Unless I've messed something up. What are you complaining about? If I delete that and delete that. Okay, well now items doesn't exist. Okay. So this is now an error because each item is a nav drawer entry, right? So entry, and then this is entry.title. And we'll still toast the title, why not? You want use destruct, is that you want me to use it? Oh, no, don't do that. We still need the other parameter too. Wait a minute, if let me just type here, entry.fragment. And then if we alt enter on this, will it destructure it up here? Oh, that's cool. All right, look at that. So that's awesome. And now in our action, we can pass in a fragment. And we can say that this action takes in a fragment and returns unit. And then that makes this happy. And then we come back over here into main activity. And somebody's going to be unhappy. Show me an error message. Fine, or don't. I'll find it myself. Nav drawer, main activity. So this needs to take in a fragment, this function. Which it doesn't, so that should be an error, right? or wait, if I type it in here, haha, cool. So it is a fragment. So so here's what's happening here. This is really cool. This anonymous function, which returns unit and doesn't specify anything about what it takes in, is in the parameter position of here, which means that it is a function that takes in fragment and returns unit. So just by the fact that it's in here means that inside this function, the it keyword is going to reference a fragment. So what we want to do is call switch fragment and pass in it. And let's actually do that first because I just feel like it. Okay, and so now I think this is going to work. Yep, because we're switching to this. Well, actually, we should only have one trade history fragment. This way we're going to have two trade history fragments, which is not ideal, but let's run it because I think it'll work. And then we can circle back to making the app bar not overlap with the top of the layout. And let me check if there's any questions on any of that. Cool. So again, that is so super cool. But now I need a place to define my fragments. Yeah, and you know, you could specify your fragments in the activity and pass them into the navigation drawer as well. That would work totally fine. But this is going to work for now, and we will probably refactor it to be something different. It's just sort of how development works. I find that I'm refactoring a lot of the time as it becomes more clear how the project needs to be structured. In my experience, it's almost impossible to correctly predict how a project is going to turn out at the beginning. And I think that's why project managers have such a hard time with deadlines and other sorts of time-based measurements and any of that sort of stuff. Okay, here's the emulator. Let's get that up. And the project's going. Looks like we're back at 200. Yay. And order book. Trade history. Ah, there we go. All right. So that works. But let's figure out this scrolling thing. So let me go back to trade history to show where we left off on that scrolling parameter was we were looking at scroll flag enter always. So that means whenever you scroll down on the screen, it's gonna have the app bar layout come down. So if you're all the way down in the recycler view at the bottom, you can scroll up and then the app bar pulls up. You don't have to scroll all the way up to the top to get it. So this is, I mean, I'm sure this is how almost every recycler view / coordinator layout that you've encountered in the wild has acted. So we want that. And then what was the other one I used? It was scroll flag enter always. Flag enter always. Nope. Already covered that one. Scroll flag scroll. So the view will be scroll and direct relation to scroll events. The view will be scroll and direct relation to scroll events. It will be scroll. Okay, sure. Why not? It'll be scroll. Okay, so this flag needs to be set for any of the other flags to take effect. So that's sort of an important one. So you need that one turned on to have the other one work at all. So let's grab these two flags and notice that this goes into the layout params section of the app bar layout. Wait, is that the toolbar? That's the toolbar. That's in the L params of the toolbar. Yeah. So in our app bar layout, we've got our toolbar, and it has L params that currently have nothing in them other than the width and the height. But to that, we're going to add some scroll flags, which we're going to need to import. From the Android support library, or design library, or whatever that said. And okay, so we've got that. Now we should be able to scroll down, but I don't think that takes care of the other problem. So let me see if I can't go back up in this project a little bit and figure out how I solved that app bar issue of the app bar being too tall. We'll see if this solves it. You know, predominantly right now, I'm just killing time while that builds because my builds are at a minute today, which is frustrating. But if I can open the activity from this project, I might be able to find something helpful. And it looks like, did we finish building? Does that mean we ran yet? Oop. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I do anything too special for that. It's got a drawer layout. It's got its L params. It sets the background color. It's got a placeholder, frame layout. Then it's got the nav drawer at the bottom. Yeah, so I don't think there's anything there that makes it obvious what's going on. But okay, so we've got GDEX. Are we still hiding some at the top? Yeah, we are. But let's scroll real far down here. And see, as soon as we scroll up, we get our app bar back. So that is what those scroll flags do. They're pretty cool. And yeah. But now we want to make our view start below the app bar layout. So I think a good search term for that is going to be app bar layout. And I didn't really want to minimize that. Just wanted to switch to the Chrome tab, which I just learned is Command and the tilde button to switch between Chrome tabs and Mac. So that's neat. And so app bar layout overlaps content, because this seems like one of those stumbling blocks that almost literally everyone is going to hit. So there should be a very quick and easy solution to this. There we go. So layout behavior to the recycler view itself. So let's go back and let's look at this other project. And so if it's in the recycler view, then that would be back on cards view. Also, big fan of GitLab. If anybody's looking for a place to host their private projects where, you know, for free, GitLab is awesome. It's basically GitHub, but you can do it for free. And I've had absolutely no issues with it, except for when I forget to commit things, but that's not their fault. So this has a recycler view. There we go. That's what we want. So this line right here, we're going to set the behavior of whatever, this vertical layout, to have app bar layout scrolling view behavior. And we'll look more at that in the code in a second. But what we want is end trade history fragment. We are setting it to this recycler view. Oh, and can we even do that in here? I don't think so. Okay, so I think I can set the layout params like this. No. Well, we can import that. App bar layout, good. Behavior. So that's kind of a problem. To get, so we need this behavior thing, which is going to come from, let's find it. We're going to need coordinated layout. It is a parameter of, yeah. So, how are we going to get that set? Actually, let me look at this code again. How do we get that behavior? Call init, and this extends a coordinator layout. Oh man, that's how. So we need to set layout parameters on our fragment, but we don't have access. I don't think we have access like we should to that section. So the issue here is, let's see if we can pull it in. Coordinator layout dot layout params dot, and then if we have one of these that we create, can we get, well, basically this needs to be inside a coordinator layout for us to be able to set the layout parameters on it. So let's see, can we get that in here? Let's Google for setting layout parameters on a fragment. Layout params on fragment. Really on an added fragment or something. And okay, cool. So we can do that sort of nonsense, I guess. All right. So we get our fragment, and in here, dot view dot l params dot layout params equals, and the fragment will have a view, so we can assert that it won't be null, and we need to set it to a new layout params object. So let's create val lps equals coordinator layout dot, what do they use? Layout params, and it needs a width and a height. So I guess we want this to be match parent, match parent. And then we can take our layout params and dot behavior. Because see, let's look at this again. This is the key part here. Layout params dot behavior. See how that behavior comes from coordinator layout. So the reason we can't set this behavior property and the fragment itself is because we don't have a coordinator layout. So that's a little difficult to get, but we can get it here. So we can do this dot behavior equals app bar layout dot scroll. No, it was lowercase dot scrolling view behavior. Then we can set the layout params of our view to LPS. Okay, and then we have an error, which are the two errors we've been having. And back in our nav, I mean, wherever we were, everything looks fine, right? Right, so we couldn't set the layout params here because that hasn't been added yet. We can clean up the imports and run this again to see if we've solved the issue. Okay, so that's going to take a second. I'm going to look, see if we've got any comments, questions, concerns. Looking good. All right, we've got the layout param set. We should not have the app bar be overlapping anymore. and let's check it out. All right, we built in 32 seconds. That's quick for today. And then we stopped. Boo. What did we do? What have we done? All right. Null pointer exception, excuse me. Fragment.view was null. How? The fragment should absolutely have a view. Okay. So, where did we get that code? Get view. Okay, so let's go back one here and we'll look at the second answer. Yep. Okay, so not finding much helpful on that. This guy's gonna set them programmatically like I've done already. However, that view should not be null. I'm not entirely sure how that works. Perhaps because it has not been attached yet, it is null or something. Let's go back into here and we can try moving this code after so grab this guy, grab all this, and let's move it to after the commit maybe. And then see if that doesn't give us a null pointer exception. Because the fragment obviously has a view attached to it. We can see the view. It's the trade history or the hello fragments text. And the fragment is definitely being added to 1, 2, 3. Wait, which is a frame layout. Am I doing this wrong? I might be. Oh, that could be a much better solution. Let's see if that works. All right, hold on a sec here. Let's first see what happens with that, because we should not have a null view. And apparently we do. Very frustrating. Okay, so did we get null again? Yeah, null pointer exception down here on the view. All right, so this is not working. So next approach, let's try and change, or rather set that on the frame layout instead. So behavior. Yes. Okay, so I think this is the right approach. Not that we didn't learn something from the other way. App bar layout dot scroll autocomplete. Come on. Oh, don't give me that cap stuff. I typed lowercase. Scrolling view behavior. Do that, and hopefully that'll do it. So here, see, we can access the behavior property because frame layout is inside of a coordinator layout. So, and hopefully since we're then adding our fragments to the frame layout, we will still get this behavior. I think we're good to go with this. That should be the solution. And our builds have been quicker, so hopefully they stay that way. And if we get the app bar and the navigation drawer pretty well knocked out, I think we're in good location to start getting start working on the orders tab or orders screen next week, which I'm really excited for. There's a library I like a lot for that stuff. The oh, look at that. So if we switch here to order book, let's see, it says hello fragments, and you know, it's below the app bar. So there you go. Trade history. We've got the top one right there. We can see it. That's awesome. And if we scroll down, our little app bar goes away. And if we scroll back up, he comes back into play. If we scroll real far down and just scroll up a little bit, there he is. Always at the top, always where we need him. And most importantly, if we switch to a different view, he's not covering up the text. So I'm sorry I left it as black. That's probably pretty difficult to see, but it does say hello fragments right here with an exclamation point. And yeah, so that's looking really good. All right, now that we've got that, got all this going, we can still drag in from the right to get that. And so I guess one issue that I think we should solve while we're here, because I think we've got time for it, we can get rid of this statement. Actually, let me keep that statement there. I want to see. Let's pop this in. Okay, so trade history fragment. And this is the same trade history fragment. And okay, let's app you still up. All right, we're gonna pull up a bunch of different trade history fragments and see if we're getting new trade history fragments. Okay, so that is that same ID. If we do it again, we get that same ID again, and that same ID again. And if we switch to order book and then back to trade history, we get that same ID again. So we are not creating new trade history fragments, though we do have two different orders fragments because we have two different order books, as well as, oh darn it, we are definitely repeating trade history fragments. So let's go back into the app. If we back all the way out and then reopen it, which is going to be GDAX right here. So here we have trade history fragment, and it is 4.5 something something something. But if we pull it in here, it's a different one, and that's because we have set this to be a trade history fragment, which is a different trade history fragment than the one we have over here, or rather over here in the nav drawer. So can I do this? Actually, that would be cool. Shift F6, which doesn't work because my Mac is funky. So refactor, rename, nav drawer items. Then to get the trade history fragment, let's see if this works. We can do nav drawer items. That's sort of a gross way to do it now that I think about it, but nav drawer items 0 dot fragment. Let's see if that should do it though, because nav drawer is created here, and actually no, the fragment should be created anyway, kind of well outside that. So we should now have just one trade history fragment, which is hopefully the case. And perhaps I'll find a better way to refactor that between now and next week, but definitely don't want to be creating more fragments than you need. And again, it's just something you can do in Kotlin. You can create variables and functions that have package scopes. If you put it outside of the class here, it's just available anywhere inside this com.treehouse.gdax package. Now, if we were to try to access nav drawer items and our data folder here, we would need to import it, but you could still use it. You just have to add an import statement. Okay, so that ran, and logcat, we have a trade history fragment of F4F, and if we go, we can bring out an order book and then go back to trade history, and it's the same trade history fragment. So we are not duplicating trade history fragments anymore. Yay. All right, so now that we're pretty well finished with the app bar, let me see if there's any questions. Then to close out, I'll just talk a little bit about what I want to get done next week and what we'll be working on. All right, so we need this up again. All right, so we've got the app bar done. For the most part, we might run into some bugs later, we'll find out. But we've got this done. Looks really good. Got the trade history page. Ooh, actually, we should be updating these titles, the title up here when we switch pages, so we can do that next week as well, or this week if I figure it out quickly. But next week, let's see if we can't get this order book section in. Which just watching it all update there, I think is going to murder my computer, but that's okay. Or rather, maybe not murder the computer, but I don't think it will run well in the emulator. So you see, we are more than one line behind right now on getting this data to pull in. So if we also pulling in this data and trying to update the UI and all that stuff, yeah, just a lot for the emulator to do. And while streaming, my computer is certainly not happy about it. But we'll be trying to get this section done. So when we click boop right there, come in here to order book, and it's gonna hopefully look kind of like this. So I'm not entirely sure how we're gonna represent this. So here you can scroll kind of up and down in the order book. I don't know if we'll add that capability, as that is a little, we'll probably start with putting cells on top, buys on the bottom, leaving it at that, not too scrollable, and maybe trying to get this USD spread piece in the middle. But that's what we'll be trying to do. And to get that, we'll have to do a lot of work on the data side of things. So they have right here instructions on how to make the order book. Now, what we have already done is subscribed to the web stream and gotten all of the web stream data into our database. So that we got that. Next step we have to do is we're going to need to use a REST request to get all the orders that were on the books before we turned on our app. And to do that, we're going to use a library called Fuel, Kotlin. And this library is really cool. It makes doing things in Kotlin, especially HTTP things, really, really, really easy. So, oh, there we go. HTTP without the bullshit. I guess that's one way to put it. And so as an example here, they've got some URL, then just .http get, and then they get a response string, which gives them a request, a response, and a result. So they can do whatever they want with that. And it's just right here. That's the whole code. It can be done asynchronously and synchronously. Fuel's just a really, really cool library. So I'm looking forward to getting that in next week, because that's awesome. I like that library. It makes HTTP stuff really cool, and it should be really interesting to follow along with. And also let's just do a quick recap of the app bar scrolling stuff that we had to set. So we had to set, where is it? In main activity, we had to set these scroll flags. So we set scroll flag scroll. This says use scroll flags. So the docs just said we need to have this set to use any other ones. And then we have scroll flag enter always, which is the scroll flag you need to make the toolbar pop into place whenever you scroll up, regardless of where you are at in the recycler view. And the other important thing we needed to do was add this behavior of appBarLayout.scrollingView behavior to our frame layout. So the layout that is going to host our view. This is our placeholder. This is where we're putting the fragments. And by adding that, we made it so that it sat sort of on top of the layout instead of covering it up. So that's how we got that set up. And let's see, can we get, let me see if I can't knock out those titles real quick. Late init var toolbar, which is a toolbar. And then we don't need this set anymore. So we've got our toolbar set right there. And when we switch fragments, let's make this take in a what did we call that? A nav drawer entry. Entry, oh, and to use string template here, we need to do entry.fragment. Perfect. And then here, entry.fragment. Yep, and then it is toolbar. And actually, I know that I have this code somewhere else, so let's find it quickly. forward to the activity of this project. Whenever it decides to start loading. And then down at the bottom, we've got invalidate options menu. I think that's what we're looking for. So come in here, toolbar.title. Right, that's what it's called. TI. What? Yeah, dot title, TITLE equals entry dot title. And you're gonna say that's okay. And then we need to invalidate options menu. And then let's run it and see if, oh, that's not gonna work, is it? Nav drawer. Okay, so then this needs to be it dot, oops. So where did we go? It dot fragment, and we need to change this nav drawer thing. It's not going to be an extension function on fragment anymore. It is an extension function on nav drawer entry. Which means we can't use that anymore. So entry dot title. We're just going to pass the whole entry into here, and then entry dot title again. Okay, I think that takes care of everything. So let's run it one more time, and hopefully that'll update the toolbar title to represent whichever page we have clicked on. Which also means we should change the starting title from GDAX to trade history, but we won't run that again to see that. We'll just trust that that one works. Unresolved reference toolbar, okay. Inferred type is fragment, but, oh yeah, we don't need that. That's true. Resolved reference toolbar. Do we not have toolbar imported? Yeah, go ahead and import toolbar. Okay, we're gonna try this one more time. And Control-O to optimize imports, and I'll go ahead and minimize the closed database function because we don't need that at the moment. So it's building, we've got our toolbar, we're using late init variables so that we don't have to declare these as null. Again, late init just means that we're gonna init it a little later, but it, it doesn't provide us as good of null protection as it would otherwise. But it is useful so that we don't have to declare these things as null all over the place. We can be a little safer with everything, or rather a little more the Android way of declaring all those things. All right, so that's been launched. Rather, it said it had been launched. Important difference. There we go. All right, it says trade history. And if we click on a new one, we're gonna get the new title, right? Yep, there we go. Order book and charts and trade history. All right, that's it. We got it. So next week, we're gonna work on making the order book tab work, and that'll probably be enough work for next week, but eventually we'll try to get this charts tab too. And yeah, so let me quickly pop over, see if there's any questions, and we'll close this out. All right, Shelbam asks, what is that E function? Let me show that. That's one of my favorite functions in here. So E and this extensions file. E is an extension function on the any object, which is just like the object in Java. So anywhere I can just call E and provide a message that is anything, even null. And if there's nothing there, it'll just say no message provided. And then what it's going to do is it's going to call log.e, and for the tag, it's going to use the class of whatever I called it on. So, for example, here, main activity, and then also in the tag, it's going to have backtick tilde, because those are good things to search for in the log to make, just really to make it filterable. And then for the message, it's going to put whatever we tell it to. So, in practice, all you have to do is E and then the message, and you've got this easily searchable, easily findable message in your log. So it really just makes logging down here a little easier. And I use the arrow channel just because, you know, if you're going to publish this stuff beforehand and you want to get rid of all your logs, you just go like this and you're done. So then now all of my logs have been turned off. So if you don't want to use something like Timber or, you know, some of the other logging solutions out there, or just typing the logs all by yourself, this is an easy way to kind of get past that. All right, and with that, I think we're going to end the stream. So see you guys next week. Now I clicked on OBS there, but it didn't come up. All right, there we go. And see ya.